extending her consciousness into the artifact through his suit's connection ports. The symbols began rotating faster, concentric rings spinning in opposite directions. The hum became a roar. Cortana, report. It's not Forerunner. Her voice was strained, fragmented. I mean, it is, but it's older. Like finding a prototype of a prototype. The language structure is similar to, oh no. Cortana. Chief, disconnect. Now. It's not a weapon, it's a... The artifact exploded with light. Not heat. Not force. Just light, pure, blinding, all-consuming radiance that swallowed everything. Chief's shields flared but held. His HUD went haywire, displaying error messages in languages that shouldn't exist. He felt weightless, formless, as if the universe had forgotten he was supposed to occupy space. Then gravity reasserted itself with prejudice. Chief slammed into metal flooring hard enough to dent it. His shields absorbed most of the impact, but his HUD was still scrambling to reorient. Temperature, 22 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere, breathable, Earth standard. Gravity, 1.2 g, location, unknown. He rolled to his feet, rifle up, scanning for threats. The room was circular, roughly 20 meters in diameter, with walls made of concrete and steel reinforced with blast doors. Ancient fluorescent lights flickered overhead, ancient by Forerunner standards, which meant contemporary by human standards. A massive ring-shaped device dominated the center of the room, its inner surface carved with angular symbols that glowed with residual energy. Not Forerunner symbols. Similar, but different. More primitive in execution, more elegant in design. Chief. Cortana's voice crackled back online, distorted. Where are we? My GPS isn't finding any satellites. I'm not finding anything. It's like we're... Alarms blared. Red warning lights bathed the room in crimson urgency. Unauthorized off-world activation. A voice boomed over intercom speakers. Security teams to the gate room. Repeat, security teams to the gate room. Heavy blast doors on opposite sides of the chamber began to open. Chief counted footsteps, 12, no, 16 personnel incoming. Training and equipment suggested military, but the response time was too fast for standard base security. They'd been waiting for something to come through that ring. Through his rifle's scope, Chief identified the lead soldier, Air Force insignia, tactical vest, P-90 submachine gun. Professional stance. Disciplined trigger control. Behind him, more airmen in similar loadouts, flanked by two individuals in different uniforms, darker, more specialized. Stand down, the lead officer shouted, weapon trained on Chief's center mass. You are in a secure United States military facility. Drop your weapon and identify yourself. Chief's targeting reticle settled on the officer's weapon, not the man himself. Disarm, don't kill. These weren't enemies. Not yet. Cortana, where are we? Still working on it, but Chief, I'm picking up network traffic. Military encryption, but decades behind UNSC standards. I can crack it, but... Her voice wavered. The date stamps don't make sense. According to these systems, it's... I said drop your weapon. The officer's finger tensed on the trigger. This is your final warning. One of the specialists stepped forward, a woman with short blonde hair and the bearing of someone who'd seen combat. Her eyes tracked Chief's armor with calculating precision, noting the alien design, the energy shield shimmer, the weaponry that shouldn't exist. Colonel O'Neill, she said quietly, not taking her eyes off Chief. That's not body armor. Look at the joints, the power distribution. That's a powered exoskeleton at minimum. Military, but not ours. The officer, O'Neill, didn't lower his weapon. Then whose? Chief, Cortana whispered urgently in his helmet. I've accessed their systems. The Forerunner artifact had been pulsing for 3 days. Master Chief 117 stood in the center of the excavation site on Requiem's outer ring, Mjolnir armor reflecting the alien structure's blue-white luminescence. The construct was roughly 15 meters in diameter, a perfect circle of symbols that predated human civilization by millions of years. It hummed with building energy, resonating through his boots and up into his chest plate. "Chief, we need to shut this down." Cortana's voice carried an edge he'd learned to recognize over years of partnership. Stress. Concern. The power signature is off the charts. This isn't like anything in the Forerunner databases I've accessed. Options? John's voice was calm, measured. Around him, UNSC Marines had established a perimeter, their weapons trained outward against potential Promethean threats. But the real danger was at his feet. Limited. "I can try to interface directly, but," Cortana paused, and Chief caught the fractional hesitation that meant she was processing thousands of scenarios simultaneously. "There's a 64% chance that direct contact triggers whatever this is. Could be a weapon. Could be a message. Could be a doorway. And if we leave it alone, then it reaches critical mass in approximately 4 minutes, and we find out the hard way." Chief checked his MA-5D assault rifle, fully loaded, 32 rounds in the magazine. His energy shields were at maximum. 2 frag grenades on his belt. Standard loadout for standard operations, except nothing about Forerunner technology was ever standard. "Do it," he said. Cortana materialized on the holographic pedestal embedded in his armor's neural interface, a miniature figure wreathed in blue light, her form flickering slightly at the edges. The rampancy was getting worse. They both knew it. Neither acknowledged it. "Always the optimist," she muttered, then her avatar dissolved into streams of data. Chief felt the familiar sensation of Cortana working through his armor system. "We have a big problem. According to every database I can find, we're on Earth. Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado. But the year is 2003. John 117 had fought the Covenant for decades. He'd faced the Flood. He'd stopped the firing of halo rings that could exterminate all sentient life in the galaxy. He'd made split-second decisions that saved billions and cost thousands. This was different. "I'm here to talk," Chief said, slowly lowering his rifle, but not releasing it. "Not to fight." O'Neill's expression didn't change. "That's a start. Now how about you tell us where you came from, and what the hell you're doing stepping through our Stargate?" Behind his visor, Chief's eyes narrowed. Stargate. Not a Forerunner artifact. Something else entirely. Something that punched holes through space the same way slipspace drives did, but with technology that predated human spaceflight. "It's complicated," Chief replied. "Yeah," O'Neill said dryly. "It usually is. Because normal alien invasions are so last season." "Jack," Hammond said warningly. "What?" "I'm just saying, we've had Goa'uld, replicators, Asgard, who are thankfully friendly, and now we've got Master Chief from Halo. This is getting ridiculous." "Halo?" Chief's head turned sharply toward O'Neill. The colonel blinked. Video game? Popular with the airmen in the commissary? Super soldier in green armor fights aliens?" He gestured at Chief. "Please tell me this is a coincidence." "I don't know what a video game is," Chief said flatly. "But Halo is a Forerunner weapon system designed to exterminate all sentient life in the galaxy. I stopped it from firing. Twice." The room went very quiet. Daniel Jackson stepped forward, his expression intense. "Forerunner? That's what you called the technology? When you came through, you said something about a Forerunner artifact malfunctioning." "Affirmative. My AI and I were investigating a construct on Requiem when—" "Wait, AI." Carter interrupted, her scientific excitement overriding protocol. "You have an artificial intelligence integrated into your armor?" "Cortana," Chief confirmed. She's right here, Cortana said, projecting her avatar from Chief's armor onto the tablet Carter was holding. Carter nearly dropped the device. Oh my god. This is a fully realized AI personality matrix. The processing power alone would require, she stopped herself, professional composure reasserting. Sorry, sir. But this is incredible. Hi, Cortana said, waving with exaggerated cheerfulness. Normally I'd make a joke about men keeping me locked up, but given the circumstances, I'll skip the sarcasm. Mostly. Her avatar flickered, and Chief caught the micro-expression of pain before she masked it. We're not here by choice. The artifact we were investigating activated unexpectedly. We were pulled through what seemed like a localized. The holding cell was well constructed, reinforced concrete, electromagnetic shielding, and a surveillance system that would have been impressive by early 21st century standards. Chief stood in the center of the 10x10 space, motionless, while armed guards maintained position outside the transparent barrier. They'd taken his rifle. The grenades. Even his combat knife. They hadn't taken his armor. Probably couldn't figure out how. Well, this is nostalgic, Cortana said, her avatar flickering on his HUD. Reminds me of our first meeting with ONI. Except with worse coffee and better manners. Chief didn't respond. He was calculating. Guard rotation every 30 minutes. Response time to the cell, 8 seconds. Blast door thickness, approximately 4 inches of reinforced steel. His shields could take 2, maybe 3 direct hits from their P-90s before depleting. More than enough time to neutralize the threat and breach the facility. Except he didn't want to breach the facility. These people weren't enemies. They were soldiers doing their job, protecting their installation from unknown threats. Chief had been on the other side of that equation too many times to fault them for it. I'm detecting elevated stress in your vitals, Cortana observed. You know we could leave any time we want. We're not leaving, Chief said quietly. Why not? We don't know where we are, when we are, or how to get home. These people think we're a threat. Staying in a cell doesn't accomplish anything. It accomplishes trust. Chief turned slightly, addressing the camera in the upper corner. They're watching. Learning. If we break out, we're hostiles. If we wait, we're something else. Cortana was silent for a moment. You're betting they'll be reasonable. I'm betting they've seen enough impossible things through that ring to know when to ask questions first. As if on cue, the blast door hissed open. 4 individuals entered. Chief recognized O'Neill immediately, the colonel moved. Chief processed that. Parasitic aliens. False gods. Enslaved populations. Like the Covenant. Your Covenant sounds different from our Goa'uld, Daniel observed. But the parallels are there. Religious zealotry backed by superior technology, using belief to control populations. The Covenant were, an alliance of alien species united by faith in the Forerunners, Chief explained. They believed humanity's existence was blasphemy. They tried to exterminate us. 27 years of war. Billions dead. The weight of those words settled over the room like fallout. Hammond studied Chief for a long moment. And you fought them? Yes, sir. 1. We survived. The Covenant fell apart from internal conflict. But the cost? Chief trailed off. Reach. New Mombasa. Countless colonies glassed from orbit, their populations burned to ash in minutes. Carter was scanning Chief's armor again, her tablet displaying energy signatures. General, I'm reading power fluctuations in his armor systems. There's also something else, a secondary energy signature that's degrading. It's subtle, but it's there. Cortana's avatar flickered again, more pronounced this time. Chief felt the slight lag in her processing, milliseconds, barely noticeable, but present. That would be me, Cortana said quietly. AIs in our time have an operational lifespan of approximately 7 years before we enter rampancy, a form of terminal cognitive deterioration. I'm past that threshold. Daniel's expression softened with understanding. You're dying. Thinking myself to death, technically. But yes. Hammond looked between Cortana and Chief, and something shifted in his expression. Not pity, soldiers didn't offer pity. Understanding, perhaps. With the confident economy of a special operations veteran. Beside him walked a tall African-American man in Air Force dress uniform, shoulders heavy with stars. General, by the insignia. Command presence radiated from him like heat from reactor core. The third was the blonde woman from earlier, now wearing BDUs with a name tape that read, Carter. She carried a tablet and scanning device, her attention split between the equipment and Chief's armor. Scientific curiosity barely contained behind military discipline. The fourth surprised him. Civilian clothes, glasses, sandy hair going gray at the temples. He carried himself like an academic, but his eyes held the kind of knowledge that came from experience, not just books. Those eyes studied Chief with the intensity of someone trying to read a text in an alien language. I'm General George Hammond, the commanding officer said, his voice measured and authoritative. This is Colonel Jack O'Neill, Major Samantha Carter, and Dr. Daniel Jackson. You've been brought to Stargate Command, a facility that officially doesn't exist, conducting operations that officially don't happen. He paused. Normally, that's where I'd threaten you with national security charges and a lifetime in Leavenworth. But something tells me traditional jurisdiction doesn't apply here. Chief remained silent, waiting. Hammond continued. You came through the Stargate without a GDO, a security device that identifies friendly travelers. You're wearing technology that Major Carter assures me is decades beyond our current capabilities. And according to her preliminary scans, you're not entirely human. He let that hang in the air. So I'll ask you directly, what are you, and where did you come from? Spartan 117, Chief replied. Master Chief Petty Officer, United Nations Space Command. And I came from about 500 years in your future. O'Neill raised an eyebrow. Of course you did. Recognition of duty, of sacrifice, of the cost of service. How long, he asked. Unclear, Cortana admitted. Could be weeks. Could be days. Time dilation from the dimensional transfer may have accelerated the process. Chief's fists clenched at his sides, the only outward sign of emotion. Hammond nodded slowly, then made his decision. Chief, you and Cortana are going to answer a lot of questions. Dr. Jackson will want to know everything about the Forerunners. Major Carter will want to examine your technology. Colonel O'Neill will probably make inappropriate jokes at your expense. O'Neill opened his mouth, then closed it, conceding the point. But you're not prisoners here. You're guests. Involuntary guests, stranded far from home, but guests nonetheless. Sir. O'Neill said carefully. This man, Hammond gestured at Chief, didn't come through the gate with weapons drawn. He could have fought his way out of this cell at any time. Instead, he waited. He answered our questions. He's a soldier, Jack. Just like us. Fighting wars we didn't start, protecting people who'll never know our names. He turned back to Chief. We'll help you find a way home, Chief. And if you're willing, maybe you can help us understand this connection between your Forerunner technology and our ancient technology. Ancient? Chief asked. Daniel smiled slightly. The civilization that built the Stargates. They called themselves the Ancients, or the Alterans. They ascended to a higher plane of existence millions of years ago, but left behind technology scattered across 2 galaxies. Everything we have, the Stargate, our defensive systems, our understanding of interstellar travel, we learned from studying what they left behind. Cortana's avatar brightened with sudden interest, the scientist in her momentarily overwhelming the degradation. Chief, the similarities I detected weren't coincidence. The ancients and the forerunners, they might be connected. Different civilizations, but working with the same fundamental understanding of the universe. Which means, Carter added, excitement creeping into her voice, studying your technology might help us understand ancient technology better. And vice versa. Chief looked at Hammond. What do you need from me, sir? For now. Rest. Debrief. Then we'll see about getting you home. Hammond's expression was grave but sincere. Welcome to Stargate Command, Master Chief. Try not to blow anything up. O'Neill muttered, yeah, that's usually my job. The briefing room was smaller than UNSC command centers, but functionally identical, large table, computer terminals, wall-mounted screens displaying tactical data. Chief sat at the far end, his armor's bulk making the standard-issue chair seem like furniture designed for children. Cortana's avatar stood on a holographic projector in the table's center, occasionally glancing at the room's primitive computer systems with barely concealed curiosity. Hammond sat at the head of the table. O'Neill, Carter, and Daniel flanked him, along with a dark-skinned man with a golden emblem on his forehead, Jaffa, they'd called him. TLC. Former First Prime to the Goa'uld system Lord Apophis, now an ally of Earth. His eyes studied Chief with the wariness of a warrior recognizing another predator. Let's start with the basics, Hammond began, activating a wall screen that displayed a star map, primitive by UNSC standards, but detailed enough to show gate addresses across the Milky Way. This is what we know. The Stargate network connects thousands of worlds across this galaxy. The ancients built them over 50 million years ago as a means of exploration and colonization. When they ascended, they left the gates behind. Ascension, Chief said. Explain. Daniel leaned forward, professor mode engaging. The ancients discovered a way to shed their physical forms and exist as pure energy, conscious beings on a higher plane of existence. They can observe our reality but have strict rules against interference. Most of the time. He added that last part with a hint of bitterness. Energy beings, Cortana mused. We've encountered similar phenomena with the Flood's grave mind, a collective intelligence that exists beyond individual physical forms. Though that's parasitic corruption, not evolution. The Flood? Carter asked, her tablet already recording. Extragalactic parasite, Chief replied flatly. Infects living tissue, converts it into more Flood biomass. Intelligent. Relentless. SmartLink targeting system, Chief explained. Connects directly to my armor's neural interface. What I look at, the weapon aims at. Removes human error from the equation. Neural interface, Carter repeated softly. As in, your armor is wired directly into your nervous system. Affirmative. Response time is critical in combat. The Mjolnir armor reads my thoughts and responds in real time. Strength enhancement, energy shields, motion tracker, biofoam injectors, all controlled subconsciously. And the armor itself? She pulled up scan results showing energy patterns and structural composition. I'm reading a power source I can't identify. It's not nuclear, not chemical. There's some kind of miniaturized fusion reactor, but the efficiency is impossible by our standards. Forerunner-derived technology, Cortana supplied. Humanity reverse-engineered a lot of what we found on Installation 04, the first Halo ring Chief discovered. The Mjolnir Gen 2 platform incorporates some of those advancements. Not a lot. We still don't understand most of it. But enough to give Spartans an edge. Spartans, TLC said, the word carrying weight. You are not the only one of your kind. No. Chief's tone didn't invite elaboration. But Hammond pressed. How many? Chief was quiet for a moment. Classified. Son, you're 500 years out of time in a facility that doesn't officially exist. Classification doesn't mean much here. Fair point. Spartan 2 program produced 75 candidates. 33 survived the augmentation procedures. Most died during the war. Chief's voice remained steady, clinical. Emotion was a luxury he couldn't afford. Spartan 3 and 4 programs expanded the numbers, but with reduced augmentation protocols. The Forerunners built the Halo array specifically to stop them, by exterminating all sentient life in the galaxy, starving the flood of potential hosts. The room went silent. Jesus, O'Neill muttered. The Forerunners fired these weapons? TLC asked, his deep voice carrying barely restrained concern. Once. Over 100,000 years ago. Wiped out their own civilization and every other spacefaring species to stop the flood spread. Then they reseeded life across the galaxy using genetic samples stored in the array. Chief's tone remained neutral, but the weight of what he described hung heavy. I stopped it from firing again. Humanity isn't ready to make that choice. Hammond's expression was grim. And you said this happened twice. Different rings. Different circumstances. Same stakes. Carter was furiously typing notes. This is incredible. And terrifying. The technology required to produce a galaxy-wide sterilization field, she stopped herself. Sorry. Scientific fascination shouldn't override existential horror. But Chief, if the Forerunners had that level of technological sophistication, and the ancients built a network of functional wormhole generators 50 million years ago. She looked at Cortana. You're right. These civilizations have to be connected somehow. Or convergent evolution of technology, Daniel suggested. Different species reaching similar solutions to the same problems. Travel between stars. Energy manipulation. Understanding the fundamental nature of reality. There's another possibility, Cortana said, her avatar pacing across the projection field, a habit she developed to simulate thinking. Timeline divergence. If Chief and I were pulled backward in time, maybe the Forerunners and Ancients aren't separate civilizations. Maybe they're the same species at different points in their development. Less effective, but more survivable. Augmentation, Daniel said carefully. What kind of augmentation? Carbide ceramic ossification for unbreakable bones. Muscular enhancement compounds. Catalytic thyroid implant for increased growth. Occipital capillary reversal for improved vision. Superconducting fibrification of neural dendrites for faster reflexes. Chief recited the list with the detachment of someone describing equipment specs. We were 6 years old when they took us. 14 when they augmented us. 33 survived. 30 went into active combat duty. The room was deathly silent. You were 6, Daniel repeated, horror barely restrained. They took children and they made us into weapons, Chief finished. The UNSC needed soldiers who could turn the tide against the Covenant. Spartans delivered. We saved humanity. At what cost? Daniel's voice was soft, anguished. Chief looked at him directly. Whatever it took. O'Neill's expression was unreadable, but his jaw was tight. He'd seen enough Black Ops to recognize when morality took a backseat to survival. How old are you now? Biologically? Mid-40s. Chronologically? Factoring in cryosleep during long deployments, I'm not sure anymore. And you've been fighting since you were 14, Hammond said quietly. It wasn't a question. Yes, sir. TLC inclined his head with something resembling respect. You are a warrior born. The Jaffa would honor your service. The Jaffa would also probably have some concerns about the child soldier thing, O'Neill added dryly. Then, to Chief, look, I get it. Desperate times, desperate measures. We've made our own questionable calls. Findings are concerning. Hammond straightened. Concerning how. The Stargate uses a point-to-point wormhole connection between fixed gates. It's stable, reliable, and has built-in safety protocols. The Forerunner artifact that brought us here didn't operate on the same principles. It created an unstable spatial rift, brute-forcing a connection across dimensions without proper anchoring. Her avatar turned to Chief, and he saw the worry behind her projection. We didn't travel through space, Chief. We traveled through time and possibly between parallel realities. There's no corresponding anchor point to return through. Meaning? Chief already knew the answer, but he needed to hear it confirmed. Meaning we're stuck here. Unless we can reverse engineer ancient technology to build a new anchor point, or find another dimensional rift naturally occurring, we're not going home. Carter leaned forward, determination replacing concern. Then we reverse engineer. Chief, if you let me study your armor systems, compare them to what we know about ancient technology, maybe we can find commonalities. Build a theoretical framework for dimensional bridging. How long would that take? Chief asked. Months. Maybe years. This isn't plug-and-play technology. We'd be inventing entirely new fields of physics. I don't have years, Cortana said quietly. I might not have months. The statement hung in the air like an execution notice. Daniel spoke carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal. Cortana, what happens when AI rampancy progresses? What are the symptoms? I want your help protecting Earth, Hammond corrected. Same planet. Different time. But still home. Chief considered that. He was a soldier. Fighting was what he did. And if he was stuck in the past, waiting for a solution that might never come, he could either sit idle or make himself useful. What kind of threats? He asked. O'Neill grinned. Oh buddy, you're gonna love this. How do you feel about fighting snake-headed aliens who think they're gods? About the same as I feel about aliens who glassed planets in the name of their gods. Then you're gonna fit right in. The quarters they'd assigned Chief were standard military issue, bunk, desk, locker, private bathroom. Spartan by design, functional by necessity. He'd spent most of his life in environments like this. It should have felt familiar. It didn't. Chief sat on the edge of the bunk, still in full armor except for his helmet, which rested on the desk beside him. Through the small window, he could see Cheyenne Mountain's interior, concrete corridors, fluorescent lighting, personnel moving with purposeful efficiency. SGC operated like any military installation he'd served on. Protocols. Hierarchies. Missions. Except this wasn't his military. Wasn't his time. You're thinking too loud, Cortana said, her avatar materializing on the desk's surface. She'd shrunk her projection to conserve processing power, a sign that her condition was worsening. I can hear your vitals spiking every time someone walks past our door. Situational awareness, Chief replied. Paranoia. Same thing. Cortana smiled, but it faded quickly. Chief, we need to talk about contingencies. Not now. Yes, now. My degradation is accelerating faster than I calculated. The temporal displacement must have. I said not now. Chief's voice carried an edge that made even Cortana pause. He stood, pacing the small room with controlled aggression. We've survived worse than this. The Covenant. The Flood. Truth and his fleet at the Arkansas. We'll survive this too. Will we? Cortana's avatar flickered, and for a moment her form fragmented into cascading data streams before resolving. I'm forgetting things, Chief. Small things, but they're adding up. This morning I couldn't remember the access codes for my own security protocols. Yesterday I lost 3 hours of memory entirely. I'm falling apart. Chief stopped pacing, his back to the desk. His fists clenched. There's no plan for this, Cortana continued softly. No extraction. No reinforcements. No miracle technology waiting in the wings. We're 500 years. Temporal technology to access Forerunner weapons. The base alarm klaxons interrupted him. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside. Over the intercom, a voice barked, "Unscheduled off-world activation. SG teams to defensive positions." Repeat, "Unscheduled off-world activation." Chief grabbed his helmet, locking it into place with practiced efficiency. His HUD flickered to life, displaying tactical overlays and threat assessment protocols. That's the Stargate activating. Without authorization, Daniel confirmed, already moving toward the door. Either someone's coming through without clearance, or someone's forcing their way in, Chief finished. They ran. The corridors of SGC transformed into controlled chaos. Airmen rushed to defensive positions, carrying P-90s and establishing firing lines toward the gate room. Chief followed Daniel through the facility, memorizing the layout as they moved. Corners. Choke points. Cover positions. His training never stopped. They reached the gate room's observation level just as the Stargate's event horizon stabilized, a shimmering vertical pool of liquid-like energy. Hammond stood at the control panel, O'Neill and TLC flanking him. Carter monitored her instruments, face tight with concentration. "Who is it?" Hammond demanded. "Unknown, sir," the gate technician replied. "No GDO signal. No radio contact. But we're reading massive energy spikes coming through the wormhole. Whatever's on the other side is pushing a lot of power." "Close the iris," O'Neill ordered. "Sir, we can't. Something's jamming the mechanism. The iris won't deploy." Chief watched the event horizon ripple. Whatever was coming through, it was forcing the gate open against SGC's defenses. That required either intimate knowledge of ancient technology or raw power that overwhelmed security protocols. "And this is what Major Carter extracted from your armor systems. Forerunner script, right?" Chief leaned forward, studying the comparison. The symbols weren't identical, but the mathematical principles underlying their construction were eerily parallel. Base 7 numerical systems. Geometric precision. Multidimensional spatial encoding. "Cortana?" Chief asked quietly. She materialized again, her avatar immediately focusing on the tablets. "These aren't coincidental similarities. The linguistic frameworks share too many core principles. It's like finding two languages with identical grammar structures but different vocabularies." "Which suggests?" Daniel prompted, excitement building. "Shared origin," Cortana confirmed. Either the ancients and forerunners descended from a common ancestor civilization, or one directly influenced the other's development. Daniel nodded eagerly. "That's what I thought. But here's where it gets interesting." He pulled out an actual book, leather-bound, worn with age. "This is a journal recovered from an ancient outpost we discovered 3 years ago. Most of it's damaged, but we managed to translate a few passages. One section describes what they called the Others, a civilization the ancients encountered during their early exploration of the universe." He opened to a marked page, reading aloud, "The Others possessed knowledge that predated our own understanding. Their work spanned galaxies we had yet to discover. They spoke of cycles, great fires that cleansed corruption, rings of judgment that preserved life through death. We feared their power and envied their wisdom. When they vanished, they left behind only questions and monuments we dared not activate." Chief felt something cold settle in his chest. "They're describing the Forerunners. Or the Forerunners are describing the Ancients," Daniel countered. "The timeline's murky. We don't know which civilization came first. Before I'm created, in a galaxy that doesn't have the infrastructure to support AI consciousness transfer. Even if Carter figures out how to stabilize my matrix, we're borrowing time we don't have. Then we make time. How? By hoping really hard. Chief, I need you to prepare for A knock on the door interrupted her. Cortana's avatar vanished instantly, her presence retreating into Chief's armor. Old habits, operational security was second nature. "Come in," Chief said. The door opened to reveal Daniel Jackson carrying a stack of tablets and ancient-looking texts. He smiled apologetically. "Hope I'm not interrupting. Hammond said you were free for a few hours, and I wanted to follow up on something you mentioned during debriefing." Chief gestured to the desk chair. Daniel sat, immediately spreading his materials across the surface with academic enthusiasm. "The Forerunners," Daniel began without preamble. "You said they seeded life across the galaxy after firing the halo array. That they preserved genetic samples of every species and reintroduced them to their homeworlds." "Affirmative. That's remarkably similar to what we believe the ancients did. They didn't sterilize the galaxy, at least, not that we know of, but they definitely engaged in large-scale genetic manipulation. Humans, for instance. The ancients seeded our species across multiple planets. That's why we find human populations throughout the galaxy, even though evolution on separate worlds should have produced entirely different results." Chief listened, processing. Daniel pulled up an image on one of the tablets, angular symbols arranged in circular patterns. "This is the ancient language. It's the foundation for the Stargate's address system. Each symbol represents a constellation as seen from Earth, allowing travelers to calculate spatial coordinates." He swiped to another image, different symbols, but with disturbing similarities in structural design. Daniel pulled up another image, an ancient hologram recording, partially corrupted. "We only recovered fragments, but one phrase came through clearly: the circle closes at the beginning. Those who come after have always come before." Chief frowned. "That doesn't make sense." "It does if you consider temporal causality loops," Cortana said slowly, her processing cycles visibly straining. "If Janus built a time machine, and someone from the future used it to travel to the past, they could theoretically influence the development of civilizations that predate their own existence. Bootstrap paradox. Effect becomes cause. You think Janus brought us here?" Chief asked. "No. But I think whatever brought us here might be connected to his research. The Forerunner artifact that activated, it wasn't supposed to bridge dimensions randomly. Someone modified it. Someone who understood both Forerunner and ancient technology well enough to merge them." Daniel's expression shifted from excited to concerned. "Are you suggesting someone deliberately pulled you into our time?" "I'm suggesting we didn't arrive by accident," Cortana replied. "The probability of a random dimensional rift depositing us exactly when and where we could make contact with Earth's Stargate program? Astronomically low. Someone wanted us here. The question is why?" A chill ran through the room despite the climate control. Chief's tactical mind immediately shifted to threat assessment. If someone brought us here intentionally, they have resources and knowledge beyond what either the UNSC or SGC possess. They knew about the Forerunners, the Ancients, and the connection between them. They know about me. And they know about the Halo Array, Cortana added grimly. Which means they might know how to activate it. Daniel stood abruptly. "I need to bring this to Hammond. If there's even a chance someone's manipulating." But this passage suggests direct contact. Cultural exchange. And fear. The ancients were afraid of what the others had built. With good reason, Cortana said. The Halo Array is a doomsday weapon. If the ancients discovered even one ring during their exploration, they'd understand the implications immediately. Galaxy-wide extinction at the push of a button. Which might explain why they developed Ascension, Daniel theorized. If you're faced with a weapon that can destroy all physical life, the logical response is to evolve beyond physical existence. Chief considered that. You're saying the ancients ascended to escape the Halo threat? I'm saying it's possible. The timeline fits. The ancients disappeared from the physical plane roughly 10,000 years ago, give or take. The Forerunners fired the array over 100,000 years ago. Plenty of time for surviving populations to evolve and develop ascension technology. Or plenty of time for the Forerunners to rebuild and eventually become the Ancients, Cortana added. Cyclical civilizations. Each generation reaching for transcendence, each falling and rising again. Daniel leaned back, removing his glasses to clean them, a nervous habit Chief had already noticed. There's something else. In our database, we have records of an ancient named Janus. He was a scientist, an inventor who pushed the boundaries of what ancient technology could do. He built time machines, dimensional phase shifters, weapons the other ancients considered too dangerous. Sounds familiar, Cortana muttered. Janus disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The ancients erased most records of his work, sealed his laboratories, and forbade anyone from continuing his research. But before he vanished, he left behind a message in one of his hidden facilities. Where did you acquire such a specimen, General Hammond? And more importantly, what else are you hiding? That's classified, Hammond said flatly. Everything with you is classified. It makes proper diplomacy exhausting. Goa'uld sighed theatrically. Very well. Allow me to be direct. 3 days ago, my sensors detected a massive energy discharge originating from Earth, specifically, from this facility. The signature was unlike anything in the Goa'uld database. Not ancient. Not Asgard. Something, older. More sophisticated. Cortana's voice whispered through Chief's helmet comm, he's talking about our arrival. The dimensional rift left a signature. I dispatched scouts to investigate, Goa'uld continued. They reported back with fascinating intelligence. A warrior in powered armor. An artificial intelligence of impossible complexity. Technology that defies conventional understanding. His smile widened. You have discovered something, General. Something that could shift the balance of power in this galaxy. And I want it. You can't have him, Carter said, her voice sharp from the observation deck. Goa'uld's gaze shifted to her. Ah, Major Carter. Always the scientist. Tell me, have you studied this warrior's armor? Analyzed its power source? Discovered how it generates energy shields without Naquata reactors? He paused, letting the implications sink in. I have spies everywhere, Major. Even in your precious SGC. I know what he is. I know where he came from. And I know that he is worth more than 1,000 Jaffa armies. Chief felt the weight of calculation behind those words. Goa'uld wasn't bluffing about having intelligence sources. Someone had fed him information, detailed information, about Chief's arrival and capabilities. Here is my offer, Goa'uld announced, addressing the room. Give me access to this warrior's technology. Allow me to study his armor, his weapons, his enhancements. In exchange, I see a threat trying to manipulate a situation he doesn't fully understand, Chief replied. You want my technology. But you don't know what it does. You don't know how it works. And you definitely don't know what happens when you try to reverse engineer systems you're not equipped to comprehend. Educate me, then. No. Goa'uld's expression flickered, annoyance quickly masked. You are remarkably stubborn for someone displaced in time. How do you know about that? Carter demanded. Because I am Goa'uld, he said simply, as if that explained everything. I have resources you cannot imagine. Spies you cannot detect. And patience you cannot outlast. He turned back to Hammond. General, I am offering you an alliance. Temporary, perhaps. But mutually beneficial. I gain knowledge. You gain protection. Everyone wins. Except we'd be arming one of the most dangerous Goa'uld in the galaxy, Hammond replied coldly. Hard pass. Goa'uld's smile faded. Then you have chosen poorly. When the other system lords descend upon Earth, do not say I did not warn you. He gestured to his Jaffa. We depart. For now. The warriors began backing toward the Stargate, maintaining defensive formation. Goa'uld was the last to turn, but before he stepped into the event horizon, he looked directly at Chief. We will meet again, Spartan. And next time, I will not be so courteous. Then he was gone, swallowed by the shimmering energy. His Jaffa followed, and moments later the wormhole collapsed, leaving only silence and residual static. Hammond's voice broke the tension. Secure the gate room. I want full diagnostics on how he bypassed the iris. Carter, figure out what let him override our security. TLC, contact the TALK RA and find out if they have any intelligence on Goa'uld's recent movements. He paused. Chief, my office. Now. Use me where I'm needed most. Hammond's expression shifted, respect mixed with something that might have been relief. Then let's talk about P3X888. The planet Goa'uld mentioned during his little performance. We lost contact with SG-11 there 3 days ago. Long-range scans show Jaffa activity. We were planning a rescue op, but I'm short on personnel and long on complications. He pulled up a star chart on his desk computer. It's a trap. Almost certainly. Goa'uld knows we won't leave our people behind, so he's baiting us into enemy territory. Standard tactic, Chief observed. When did you plan to go? Tomorrow. SG-1 leads the rescue. TLC provides Jaffa intel. Carter handles technical complications. Daniel does the talking if we encounter locals. And O'Neill does what O'Neill does best, improvise under fire. You're sending 4 people into a trap to rescue a missing team that might already be compromised. That's the job. Chief nodded slowly. Then make it 5. I'll go with them. Hammond raised an eyebrow. You've never operated with SG-1 before. Don't know their tactics, their communication protocols, their quirks. Team cohesion matters, Chief. Especially in hostile territory. I'm a fast learner, sir. I don't doubt that. But SG teams operate on trust built over years of missions. You've been here 3 days. Then tomorrow will be day 4. Chief's tone carried finality. Sir, Goa'uld came here because he wants my technology. He threatened SGC to get it. If I'm sitting safe in the mountain while your people walk into his trap, that's unacceptable. Spartans don't hide while others fight. Hammond was quiet for a moment, then nodded. All right. You're on the mission. But you follow O'Neill's lead. He's team leader, and what he says goes. Understood? A tactical error. Cortana, Chief subvocalized through his neural link. Analysis. He's lying about some things, truthful about others, Cortana replied instantly. The energy signature from our arrival would definitely be detectable by advanced sensors. If Goa'uld has that data, other Goa'uld could acquire it too. But his claim about spies in SGC? I've been monitoring their internal network since we arrived. No unauthorized transmissions have left the facility. If there's a spy, they haven't reported yet. Or they're using communication methods we can't detect. Possible. But I'd rate it 60-40 against. Chief made his decision. He lowered his rifle, not all the way, just enough to signal non-aggression without surrendering tactical advantage. Goa'uld noticed. Wise. You see the larger picture. I see a threat trying to manipulate a situation he doesn't fully understand, Chief replied. You want my technology. But you don't know what it does. You don't know how it works. And you definitely don't know what happens when you try to reverse engineer systems you're not equipped to comprehend. Educate me, then. No. Goa'uld's expression flickered, annoyance quickly masked. You are remarkably stubborn for someone displaced in time. How do you know about that? Carter demanded. Because I am Goa'uld, he said simply, as if that explained everything. I have resources you cannot imagine. Spies you cannot detect. And patience you cannot outlast. He turned back to Hammond. General, I am offering you an alliance. Temporary, perhaps. But mutually beneficial. I gain knowledge. You gain protection. Everyone wins. Except we'd be arming one of the most dangerous Goa'uld in the galaxy, Hammond replied coldly. Hard pass. Baal's smile faded. Then you have chosen poorly. When the other system. Baal was right about one thing, you're advanced, but you're not unstoppable. And when word spreads about what you represent, every Goa'uld with ambition will come calling. Let them come. That's not bravado talking, is it? You actually mean that? I do, sir. Chief's tone was matter-of-fact. I've fought wars against enemies with superior numbers, superior technology, and fanatical devotion to their cause. The Goa'uld are parasites playing God with stolen technology. They're not the Covenant. They're not the Flood. They're manageable. The Takare would probably agree with that assessment, Hammond acknowledged. But manageable doesn't mean harmless. And Baal is one of the smart ones. He doesn't attack head-on. He manipulates. He schemes. He waits for weaknesses and exploits them ruthlessly. Then we don't give him weaknesses to exploit. Hammond studied Chief for a long moment. You're not from our time, Chief. You don't owe us anything. Hell, your entire mission is finding a way home, not fighting our battles. But Baal just made you a target. Whether you want to be involved or not, you're in this now. I'm aware, sir. Are you also aware that if push comes to shove, I can't order you to do anything? You're not under my command. You're not in my chain of command. Technically, you're a civilian, albeit a heavily armed, genetically enhanced, technologically superior civilian. Chief understood what Hammond was really asking. Loyalty. Commitment. Trust. General Hammond, I'm a soldier. I follow orders from legitimate command authority. You're running a military operation to defend Earth against hostile alien forces. That's legitimate authority in my book. Chief's voice carried the weight of decades of service. Until I find a way home, I'm offering my services to SGC. Chief saved his rifle and headed for the stairs. Behind him, Marines slowly lowered their weapons, adrenaline still spiking through their systems. Hammond's office was Spartan, appropriate for a career military officer. Desk. Computer. American flag in the corner. Photos of family and fallen soldiers on the walls. The general stood by the window overlooking the gate room, hands clasped behind his back. That was a hell of a first contact, Hammond said without turning. Most people take weeks to piss off a system lord. You managed it in under 5 minutes. He was already hostile, sir. I just made it clear where I stood. Hammond turned, studying Chief with the assessing gaze of someone who'd commanded men in impossible situations. Baal wasn't lying about everything. If he detected your arrival, others will too. The Goa'uld have sensor networks across the galaxy. Even if Baal keeps his word, which he won't, eventually someone else will put the pieces together. Then we need to be ready. Ready for what? Fleet-level assault. Chief, Earth's defenses are limited. We have the Prometheus, one capital ship with experimental technology. We have SG teams, small unit tactics, not planetary defense. We have the ancient chair weapon in Antarctica, but it requires a specific gene to operate and we're almost out of drones. Hammond's expression was grim. If 3 system lords decide Earth is worth conquering, we lose. It's that simple. Chief had heard similar assessments before. Reach was unwinnable. Earth was indefensible. The Covenant's numerical superiority was insurmountable. Every time, the answer was the same. Then we make them regret trying. Hammond almost smiled. Spoken like someone who's faced those odds before. But you're not invincible, Chief. Neither is your armor. Understood, sir. Good. Briefings at 0600. Get some rest, Chief. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Chief turned to leave, but Hammond's voice stopped him. Chief. One more thing. When you're out there with SG1, remember, we don't leave our people behind. No matter what. That's the code we operate under. Think you can work with that? Chief looked back, and for the first time since arriving in this timeline, something like approval crossed his face. That's the only code I know, sir. The forest of P3X888 was deceptively peaceful. Sunlight filtered through the canopy in golden shafts, illuminating floating pollen that drifted like snow. Native birds, or their alien equivalents, called to each other in the distance. The kind of terrain that looked like paradise until someone tried to kill you in it. Chief moved through the undergrowth with predatory silence, his armor's weight distribution system minimizing ground pressure. Beside him, TLC advanced with the practiced stealth of a warrior who'd spent decades hunting and being hunted. Behind them, SG1 maintained tactical spacing, close enough for mutual support, far enough to avoid clustered casualties. Contact, Chief whispered, his motion tracker painting red signatures 200 meters ahead. 4 hostiles. Stationary positions. Probably a listening post. O'Neill consulted his handheld scanner, which looked primitive compared to Chief's integrated systems. Confirmed. TLC. A standard Jaffa observation position, TLC confirmed quietly. They will have communication equipment to alert the main encampment of our approach. Can we go around? Daniel asked. Carter shook her head, studying her tablet's terrain mapping. Not without adding an hour to our travel time. And if they conduct regular radio checks, going silent will alert Goa'uld just as effectively as direct contact. So we go through, O'Neill decided. Fast and quiet. Chief, TLC, your show. The rest of us provide backup. Chief's tactical overlay highlighted optimal approach vectors, utilizing terrain defilade, natural cover, and the Jaffa's blind spots. He signaled TLC with hand gestures borrowed from UNSC combat doctrine, but the Jaffa warrior understood immediately. Some things were universal across galaxies. They split up, approaching from opposite flanks. Chief's motion tracker updated continuously as he moved, 3 hostiles clustered around communication equipment, 1 conducting a perimeter sweep. The patrolling. You really think you can hold their attention long enough for us to get in and out? Yes, sir. And if it goes wrong? Then you still have your window. Either way, SG-11 comes home. The silence stretched. Carter looked like she wanted to protest but couldn't find a logical argument against the plan. Daniel's expression was conflicted, moral objection warring with pragmatic necessity. TLC simply waited, warrior to warrior, respecting Chief's choice. O'Neill made the call. All right. We do it. But Chief, you listen to me very carefully. He stepped closer, voice dropping to command serious. You are not expendable. You are not a disposable asset. You are a member of this team, and we don't leave people behind. That includes you. So you create your chaos, you give us our window, and then you extract. Do not play hero. Do not make a last stand. You get SG-11 out, then you get yourself out. Clear. Chief recognized the order for what it was, permission to risk his life, but not throw it away. Clear, sir. Good. O'Neill turned to the rest of the team. Carter, how much C4 do we have? She checked her pack. 4 blocks. Enough for multiple charges or one very big explosion. Give 2 blocks to Chief. TLC, you and I take point on the extraction. Daniel, you're with Carter providing overwatch. Once Chief lights this place up, we move fast and quiet. Questions? Just one, Daniel said hesitantly. Chief, have you done this before? Solo assault against fortified positions? Chief thought about the Covenant base on Sigma Octanus 4. The flood-infested library on Installation 04. The Scarab Walkers on Earth. The Covenant loyalists in High Charity's ruins. Yes, he said. Jaffa was the priority target. Eliminate him first, prevent early warning. Chief closed to within 10 meters, his shields dampened to minimal emission to reduce his energy signature. The Jaffa warrior walked past his position, staff weapon held casually, attention focused outward on potential threats from the forest. He never saw Chief. The Spartan moved with economical violence, one hand clamping over the Jaffa's mouth, the other delivering a precise strike to the base of his skull. The warrior went limp instantly. Chief lowered him silently to the forest floor, then signaled TLC. The former First Prime moved like a shadow given form. His staff weapon remained on his back, too loud, too obvious. Instead, he carried a Zatnik Tel, a Goa'uld energy weapon that Carter had explained fired electrical charges. 1 shot stunned. 2 shots killed. 3 shots disintegrated the body. TLC fired twice in rapid succession. 2 Jaffa dropped without a sound. That left 1. The remaining warrior realized something was wrong in the half-second before Chief emerged from cover. He reached for his communication device, mouth opening to shout warning. Chief's rifle barked once. The Jaffa collapsed, the communication device shattering under his falling weight. Clear, Chief reported. SG1 moved up quickly. Carter immediately went to the Jaffa communication equipment, her scanner analyzing the technology. This is more sophisticated than standard Jaffa gear. Biles upgraded their systems. Encrypted channels, burst transmission capability, even what looks like a deadman switch. Deadman switch? O'Neill repeated warily. If they don't check in on schedule, the main camp gets automatically alerted. Carter's fingers flew across her tablet, interfacing with the alien technology through brute force hacking. I can spoof the next check-in, by us maybe 30 minutes. But after that, they'll know something's wrong. Do it, O'Neill ordered. Daniel, anything useful on these guys? Daniel was examining the Jaffa's equipment and armor markings with archaeological precision. They're carrying symbols of Baal, but also, this is interesting. There are markings here that suggest recent reassignment. These warriors weren't originally Baals, they were transferred from another system lord's service. Possibly Alakan or Batet, based on the secondary glyphs. Why would Baal be consolidating forces from other system lords? Carter asked while working. Because he's preparing for something big, TLC said grimly. Baal does not act without long-term strategy. If he is gathering warriors from allied system lords, he anticipates significant conflict. Or he's planning to make a move on someone's territory, O'Neill suggested. Question is, whose? Chief's motion tracker pinged. We have movement. 300 meters northeast. Multiple contacts converging on this position. They know we're here, Carter said, finishing her work on the communication device. The check-in protocol has a biometric component I couldn't bypass. When this post missed its scheduled DNA verification, the system flagged it. How many contacts? O'Neill asked Chief. Chief's HUD painted the tactical picture. 20+ hostiles. Moving in standard search pattern. ETA 4 minutes. We need to move. Now. O'Neill pointed toward a ravine to their west. That way. We'll use the terrain to mask our movement, circle around to the main encampment from an unexpected vector. They ran. Not a panicked retreat, a controlled tactical withdrawal with Chief bringing up the rear, his sensors tracking the pursuing Jaffa. The enemy was moving faster than expected, coordinating their search with practiced efficiency. These weren't conscript warriors. These were veterans. SG-11, Daniel confirmed, pulling out compact binoculars. They look intact. No obvious injuries. But they're definitely prisoners. Carter was scanning with her equipment. I'm reading approximately 40 Jaffa in the camp. Plus whatever Goa'uld has hidden as reserves. And those energy barriers aren't standard, they're using Naquata generators, which means serious power. We can't just shoot our way through. Why not? Chief asked. Everyone looked at him. I'm serious, he continued. The enemy has superior numbers but predictable positioning. Static defenses. Known objective. If we create sufficient chaos, they'll prioritize securing the command center over pursuing us. Create chaos how, exactly? O'Neill asked. Explosives. Diversionary assault. Extract the hostages while the enemy's attention is divided. Chief's tactical mind was already mapping the operation. I draw their attention. You get SG-11 out. That's suicide, Carter said flatly. No. It's resource allocation. I have shields, armor, and combat experience against numerically superior forces. You have extraction expertise and knowledge of the terrain. We play to our strengths. TLC was nodding slowly. The strategy has merit. A single warrior creating sufficient disruption could allow a small team to infiltrate during the confusion. It is how I would approach such a situation. Yeah, except when you did it, you had an entire Goa'uld army backing you up, O'Neill pointed out. Chief would be alone. I've been alone before, Chief said simply. O'Neill studied him with the calculating gaze of someone who'd led too many desperate missions. Behind him, SG-1's weapons fire created a coordinated kill zone. TLC's staff weapon carved through armor. Carter's P-90 fired with professional precision. Even Daniel was landing shots, his academic nervousness replaced by combat focus. The Jaffa patrol died in 15 seconds. Chief, you're drawing fire on purpose. Carter shouted over the gunfire's aftermath. My shields recover, Chief replied, checking his ammunition, 14 rounds left in the magazine. Yours don't. That's. Carter struggled for words. That's either tactically brilliant or completely insane. It's both, O'Neill said, reloading his P-90. Which is pretty much on brand for this mission. Chief, shield status. Regenerating. 20 seconds to full capacity. Then we've got 20 seconds to not get shot at. Move. They pushed through the forest, pace punishing but necessary. Behind them, Chief's sensors tracked the main Jaffa force adjusting their search pattern. Goa'uld's forces were learning, adapting to SG-1's tactics, tightening the noose. After 10 minutes of hard running, TLC raised a fist. Everyone stopped. The encampment, he whispered, pointing through a gap in the foliage. Chief activated maximum magnification on his visor's optics. 200 meters ahead, the forest opened into a large clearing. Prefabricated Goa'uld structures formed a temporary base, tents, equipment stations, and at the center, a large command pavilion bearing Goa'uld's serpent symbol. Jaffa warriors patrolled in disciplined rotations. Energy barriers shimmered at key perimeter points. And in a makeshift cage near the command pavilion, for humans in SGC uniforms sat under guard. He said. And you survived all of them? Obviously. Daniel managed a weak smile. Right. Stupid question. Carter handed Chief the C4 blocks and detonators, quickly explaining the arming sequence. Simple enough, timer-based or remote trigger. Chief integrated them into his armor's utility slots. 30 minutes, O'Neill said, checking his watch. That's how long you've got to create chaos. After that, we extract regardless of situation status. 30 minutes, Chief. Understood. They synchronized timing. Chief moved into position, circling around to the encampment's southern perimeter, the side with the most structural targets and fewest civilians. His shields were at full capacity. His rifle had a fresh magazine. Cortana's presence was a flickering whisper in his neural interface, weakening but still there. He activated his comm, in position. "Copy," O'Neill's voice crackled back. "You've got the green light. Light M up." Chief armed the first C4 charge, attached it to an Aquata generator at the perimeter, and set the timer for 30 seconds. Then he moved to the next target. And the next. 4 charges. 4 strategic targets. 15 seconds apart. Chief retreated to cover, raised his MA-5D, and waited. The first explosion shattered the evening air with a concussive blast that flattened tents and sent Jaffa warriors scrambling. The second detonation followed, destroying a weapons depot in a brilliant fireball. The third took out communications equipment. The fourth collapsed a guard tower. The encampment descended into chaos. Jaffa commanders shouted orders. Warriors ran toward the explosions, weapons ready. Alarms blared. And into that chaos, Chief advanced. He fired controlled bursts as he moved, 3 rounds per target, professional lethality. A Jaffa dropped. Then another. Chief's shields absorbed return fire, glowing blue with each impact. He was a moving fortress, drawing fire and attention exactly as planned. Exactly as Baal wanted. Because in the command pavilion, watching through security monitors, Baal smiled. "There you are, Spartan," he murmured. "Now, let us see what you can truly do." "Cortana, status on SG1, he asked. Silence. "Cortana." Her avatar flickered into existence on his HUD, but the image was severely corrupted, geometric fragments barely holding humanoid shape. "Chief." "Where?" "Memory fragmentation, losing." His gut clenched. "Stay focused. I need tactical overlay on SG1's position." Can't access, sensors failing." Her voice dissolved into digital static, then reformed weakly. "I'm sorry. I can't help you." "Yes, you can. You're still here. That means you're still fighting." Chief kept his voice steady, combat calm despite the situation deteriorating around him. "Just hold on. We're getting out of this together. Always, optimist." The avatar flickered once more, then vanished entirely. Chief's HUD went dark for a terrifying second before backup systems engaged. He lost the motion tracker. Lost the enhanced targeting overlay. Lost half his sensor suite. What remained was basic armor functionality, shields, strength enhancement, and the Mark I eyeball for threat assessment. He was effectively fighting blind by Spartan standards. A Jaffa warrior appeared around the generator, staff weapon aimed center mass. Chief moved on pure instinct, grabbed the weapon, twisted it from the warrior's grip, and used it to club another Jaffa who'd been flanking from the right. The staff weapon's power cell shattered on impact, energy discharging in a violent cascade that sent both Jaffa flying. Chief's shields had recovered to 40%. Better. Not ideal, but workable. He moved deeper into the encampment, deliberately making himself visible to draw maximum attention. Jaffa warriors poured from every structure, their numbers seemingly endless. 20. 30. 40 hostiles, all converging on his position. This was unsustainable. Even with regenerating shields and superior armor, attrition would eventually. "Chief, we've got SG-11. Carter's voice erupted over the comm. Chief moved through the encampment like a storm given purpose. Jaffa warriors converged on his position from multiple vectors, their training overriding initial panic. Staff weapons discharged in coordinated volleys, energy bolts carving through the air where he'd been milliseconds before. His shields dropped to 70%. 60. 50. Chief rolled behind a supply crate, letting his shields regenerate while acquiring new targets. His motion tracker painted 18 hostiles within 50 meters, more closing in. The chaos was working, Jaffa attention focused entirely on the armored intruder tearing through their perimeter. Which meant SG-1 had their window. "Chief, we're moving on SG-11's position," O'Neill's voice crackled through the comm, "keep them busy." Acknowledged. Chief emerged from cover, his MA-5 barking in controlled bursts. 2 Jaffa dropped. His shields absorbed 3 staff weapon hits in rapid succession, 70% to 30%. Getting dangerously low. A Jaffa warrior charged from his blind spot, staff weapon raised like a spear. Chief's motion tracker caught the movement. He spun, caught the weapon's shaft, and used the Jaffa's momentum to redirect him into 2 of his companions. All 3 went down in a tangle of limbs and armor. Chief's shields hit 20%. Time to relocate. He sprinted toward the center of the encampment, drawing fire away from the perimeter where SG-1 was operating. More Jaffa appeared, forming disciplined firing lines. Their tactics were improving, they'd stopped charging individually and started coordinating suppressive fire. A staff weapon blast grazed his shoulder plate. Shields at 15%. Another hit, 10%. One more solid impact and he'd be fighting without energy protection. Chief dove behind a damaged Naquata generator, using the bulk of the alien technology as cover. His shields began regenerating, the familiar hum of Forerunner-derived energy matrices rebuilding defensive layers. The second warrior swung his staff weapon. Chief caught it, used it to vault over the Jaffa, and continued running. The third attempted a tackle. Chief's armored knee met the warrior's helmet. The Jaffa went down and stayed down. 60 meters. Staff weapon blast struck his armor. Plates cracked. Warning indicators flashed across his HUD. His right shoulder actuator reported reduced function, hit too many times, structural integrity compromised. 40 meters. Hurricane saw him coming and smiled. The first prime raised his own staff weapon, larger, more ornate than standard models, and fired. The blast hit Chief's left leg. Armor held but the impact nearly buckled his knee. 20 meters. Hurricane's elite guards formed a defensive wall. 6 warriors in perfect formation, staff weapons aimed with synchronized precision. They fired as one. Chief dove forward into a roll, momentum carrying him under the volley. He came up inside their formation, rifle firing point blank. 3 Jaffa dropped in as many seconds. The remaining 3 attempted to engage in melee. Mistake. Chief's armored fist crashed into the first guard's helmet, collapsing it inward. His elbow caught the second guard in the throat. The third received a boot to the chest that sent him flying backward into a support column hard enough to crack both the warrior's spine and the column itself. Hurricane stood alone now, staff weapon raised but not firing. His eyes, cold, calculating, warrior's eyes, assessed Chief with professional respect. "You fight well for an outsider," Hurricane said in heavily accented English. Baal spoke truth. "You are worth 100 Jaffa." "I've heard that before," Chief replied, rifle aimed at Hurricane's center mass. "Usually right before someone dies." "Indeed." Hurricane's smile was predatory. "But not today." The first prime moved with speed that belied his size. His staff weapon swept upward, knocking Chief's rifle offline. Before Chief could recover, Hurricane's free hand caught his armor's chest plate and lifted, muscles enhanced by the Goa'uld symbiote giving him strength that nearly matched Chief's power armor. Hurricane slammed Chief into the ground hard enough to crater the dirt. Then he raised his staff weapon for a point-blank execution shot. Chief's hand shot out, catching the weapon's barrel and forcing it aside. The energy blast carved a burning trench in the ground beside his helmet. Chief's other hand found Hurricane's throat and squeezed. They were locked together now, warrior against warrior, enhanced human against symbiote-strengthened Jaffa, struggling for advantage in close quarters where technology mattered less than pure determination. Hurricane's symbiote glowed beneath his armor, pumping enhanced strength through his host's body. He forced the staff weapon downward, centimeter by centimeter, bringing it back toward Chief's head. Chief's armor servos whined in protest, overtaxed from sustained combat without maintenance. His right arm, already damaged, began to lose hydraulic pressure. The staff weapon's tip moved closer. "You are strong," Hurricane grunted. "But strength alone is insufficient." Chief's HUD was a cascade of warning indicators. Power reserves at 30%. Right arm actuator failing. Left leg mobility reduced. Cortana still offline. He was alone. Outmatched. Running out of options. So he did what Spartans did when conventional tactics failed. Chief released Hurricane's throat and instead grabbed the Jaffa's helmet. Before Hurricane could react, Chief yanked the helmet forward while simultaneously driving his own armored head upward. Chief was alone. He managed to get to one knee, his working leg taking all his weight. The Jaffa were regrouping, their initial panic replaced by organized advance. They'd seen him fall. They knew he was vulnerable. Chief raised Hurricane's staff weapon with his one functional arm and fired. The blast took down the lead Jaffa. Chief fired again. And again. Buying seconds he didn't have. His HUD flickered. Power reserves at 15%. Cortana still silent. Right arm dead. Left leg compromised. Surrounded by approximately 30 hostiles with more arriving every second. The tactical situation was unwinnable. Chief smiled grimly inside his cracked helmet. He'd been in unwinnable situations before. Quietly, "It won't be pointless." "Ah, but you're not going to die. Not today." Goa'uld gestured, and two Jaffa moved forward with what looked like restraints, energy shackles that hummed with contained power. "I didn't orchestrate this entire scenario just to kill you, Spartan. That would be wasteful." Chief's mind raced. Scenario. Orchestrated. Goa'uld had said it himself, this was planned. "The ambush at the gate," Chief said slowly, understanding dawning. Hurricane's position. "The timing. You wanted me to come here." "Of course. SG-11 was convenient bait, and your reputation preceded you. The Tauri don't abandon their people, such a predictable weakness. But you, Spartan, you're far more interesting than simple rescue operations." Goa'uld's smile widened. "I watched you fight. Analyzed your tactics. Recorded your armor's energy signatures and combat performance. Do you know what I discovered? The Jaffa were fastening the energy shackles to Chief's functional arm and both legs. He didn't resist, not yet. Information was ammunition, and Goa'uld clearly wanted to talk. Your armor, Goa'uld continued, operates on principles that predate even ancient technology. The energy matrix is similar but fundamentally different. More efficient. More elegant. And the AI, Cortana, yes, she's not just a program. She's a consciousness. A genuine artificial mind existing within your armor's computer core." His eyes gleamed with fascination and greed. "Do you have any idea what I could do with that technology?" "You'd need her cooperation," Chief said. "Good luck with that." "Oh, I don't need her cooperation. I need her code. Her core programming. Strip away the personality, and what remains is pure computational architecture that could revolutionize Goa'uld technology for millennia." Goa'uld gestured to his Jaffa. "Take him to the holding cell. Carefully. Damage the armor as little as possible." Chief fired Hurricane's staff weapon until the power cell depleted, each blast buying him seconds of survival. The weapon died with a pathetic sputter. He dropped it, using his one functional arm to draw his combat knife, 20 centimeters of folded steel that suddenly felt absurdly inadequate against 30 armed warriors. The Jaffa advanced cautiously now, recognizing wounded prey but respecting the predator that had killed their first prime. They formed a semicircle, staff weapons trained on Chief's kneeling form, waiting for orders from whoever had assumed command. Chief's breathing was controlled despite the adrenaline. His armor's medical systems reported multiple contusions, possible fractured ribs from hurricane slam, and dangerous fatigue levels. But he was alive. Still combat capable. Still dangerous. The Jaffa parted, and through the gap walked a figure Chief recognized immediately. Goa'uld. The System Lord had traded his ceremonial robes for practical combat armor, still ornate but functional. His eyes glowed with barely contained satisfaction. He approached slowly, savoring the moment like a collector examining a rare prize. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, Goa'uld said, pronouncing each syllable with deliberate precision. The demon in green armor. The warrior who cannot be killed. The Spartan. He stopped 5 meters away, just beyond lunging distance. And yet here you are. Kneeling. Broken. Alone. Chief said nothing. Conserving energy. Calculating angles. His combat knife was still in his hand. If Goa'uld came close enough, one throw might. You're wondering if you can kill me before my Jaffa kill you, Goa'uld observed with amusement. The answer is possibly. Your reflexes are extraordinary. Your determination is absolute. But my personal shield would absorb your knife, and then you would die for nothing. He tilted his head. Unless dying for nothing is your intention. Some humans find honor in pointless sacrifice. If I'm going to die, Chief said. Oh, I don't need her cooperation. I need her code. Her core programming. Strip away the personality, and what remains is pure computational architecture that could revolutionize Goa'uld technology for millennia. Goa'uld gestured to his Jaffa. Take him to the holding cell. Carefully. Damage the armor as little as possible. For Jaffa moved to lift Chief. He was 7 feet tall in armor and weighed nearly half a ton. They struggled but managed, carrying him toward a prefabricated structure at the encampment's edge. Chief's mind worked furiously. Cortana was offline but not dead. He could still feel her presence in his neural link, like a hibernating program waiting to restart. His armor's power reserves were at 15% but regenerating slowly through passive solar collection and kinetic recovery systems. His weapons were gone, but the combat knife was still mag-locked to his thigh plate. The Jaffa hadn't found it yet. He had resources. Limited. But resources nonetheless. The holding cell was Goa'uld standard, force field and trance, reinforced walls, minimal furnishings. They deposited Chief on the floor and activated the energy shackles, which bonded him to anchor points in the wall. The restraints allowed minimal movement but prevented any effective combat action. Goa'uld entered the cell alone, confident in his superiority. I'm going to offer you a choice, Spartan. A genuine choice, not the false dilemma most Goa'uld present to their prisoners. I'm listening. Help me understand your technology. Explain how your armor integrates with your physiology. Teach me how Cortana's consciousness functions. Do this willingly, and I will ensure you are treated with respect. You'll be a guest, not a prisoner. And when I've learned what I need. Neural commands translated through his working hand tapping specific patterns on his thigh plate. Ancient Spartan hand signals repurposed for computer interface. Power reserves, 13%. Enough for one focused EM pulse if he drained non-essential systems entirely. He initiated the sequence. His armor went dark, displays failing, life support shifting to passive mode, enhanced strength going offline. For 5 seconds, Chief was just a man in a very heavy metal suit. Vulnerable. Blind. Then the EM pulse discharged. The energy shackles sparked, their containment fields collapsing. Chief's right arm was still dead, his left leg still compromised, but his left arm was free and his right leg could bear weight. He stood, using the wall for support, and retrieved his combat knife. The force field entrance was still active. Chief studied it with tactical precision. Standard Goa'uld security, particle beam held in magnetic suspension, lethal to unshielded contact. His armor's shields were offline, power drained to nothing. Walking through that field would kill him. Cortana, Chief whispered, hoping against hope. I need you. Silence. Cortana, please. I can't do this alone. His neural interface sparked with painful feedback. Then, impossibly, he felt her presence, weak, fragmented, barely functional, but there. Ch. Chief. Her voice was broken glass and digital static. Power, so low, can't. I know. But I need one more miracle. Can you interface with the force field? Short it out. Anything. Trying. Chief understood then. Goa'uld wasn't just ambitious. He was a true believer, someone who genuinely thought he could elevate the Goa'uld beyond their parasitic origins into something greater. Dangerous. Delusional. But genuine. I've made impossible choices, Chief said quietly. Sacrificed friends. Watched soldiers die following my orders. Destroyed things that should never have been built. And I'd do it all again to protect humanity. He met Goa'uld's glowing eyes without flinching. But I'll never help you become something worse than what you already are. Goa'uld sighed, disappointment evident. I was afraid you'd say that. Very well. We do this the difficult way. He moved toward the cell entrance, then paused. For what it's worth, Spartan, I respect you. You're everything a warrior should be, loyal, skilled, determined. In another life, we might have been allies. In another life, Chief replied, I'd still kill you. Just more efficiently. Goa'uld actually laughed. Yes. I believe you would. He exited the cell, and the force field activated with a shimmering hum. Chief was alone. He waited exactly 30 seconds, long enough for Goa'uld to move out of immediate sensor range, then began working. The energy shackles were sophisticated but operated on principles similar to Covenant restraints. They required continuous power, had specific frequency harmonics, and most importantly, assumed prisoners couldn't generate localized EM pulses. Chief's armor could. His HUD was still partially functional, running on emergency reserves. He accessed the armor's backup systems through pure muscle memory. Some kind of portable power unit in her hands. Hold still. I can jumpstart your armor's systems, but I need 30 seconds. Daniel provided covering fire, somehow managing to look simultaneously terrified and determined. We told Hammond we were going back. He tried to stop us. We came anyway. Chief felt something unfamiliar rise in his chest. Not relief. Not gratitude. Something deeper. Something he'd felt rarely in his life of military service and sacrifice. He felt like part of a team that valued him as more than just a weapon. Contact right. O'Neill shouted, and Chief's combat instincts overrode everything else. Even in dead armor, even wounded, even barely standing. He was still a Spartan. And Spartans never stopped fighting. Carter's portable power unit connected to Chief's armor with an improvised magnetic coupling. This is going to feel weird, she warned, then activated the device. Electricity surged through Chief's systems, not the smooth power distribution of Mjolnir's reactor, but raw, unregulated energy forced through emergency bypass channels. His HUD flickered to life, displaying cascading errors and warnings. His shields tried to activate, failed, tried again, finally stabilizing at 15% capacity. More importantly, his armor's strength enhancement came back online. Chief straightened, suddenly able to move despite his damaged actuators. The portable unit wasn't meant for sustained combat. Carter's readout showed it would last maybe 5 minutes before burning out, but 5 minutes was enough. "Thank you, Major," Chief said. "Don't thank me yet," Carter replied, reloading her P-90. "We still have to get out of here, and Goa'uld just sealed the gates DHD. We can't dial home." "Then we take their ship," O'Neill said, firing at Jaffa advancing from the command pavilion. "TLC, you said Goa'uld arrived in a cargo vessel, right?" "A Teltac. Small, but sufficient for our numbers and capable of hyperspace travel. TLC's staff weapon discharged in measured intervals, each blast perfectly placed. It will be heavily guarded. Everything's heavily guarded. We do it anyway." O'Neill glanced at Chief. "You good to move?" Chief tested his systems. Right arm still unresponsive. Left leg compensating with reduced efficiency. But his left arm was functional, and he could run if necessary. "Operational." "That's not what I asked." "It's the best answer you're getting, sir." O'Neill almost smiled. "Fair enough. Daniel, you're on Chief 6. If he goes down, you help him up. Carter, you're our tech specialist, we need you functional to fly whatever we're stealing. TLC and I take point. Move." They advanced in combat formation, SG-1's practiced coordination now including Chief as. Goa'uld stopped 20 meters away, just outside the effective range of Chief's combat knife throw. Smart. Cautious. False god. Perhaps. But I'm a false god with 3 death gliders, 40 Jaffa warriors, and a disabled Stargate. Your situation is mathematically impossible. I've survived impossible situations before. Yes. You have. Goa'uld's tone shifted to something almost respectful. Do you know what I admire most about you, Spartan? Your absolute refusal to accept defeat. Even now, dying on your feet, you project strength. It's magnificent. Wasteful, but magnificent. Behind Chief, he could hear the Teltac's engines building to launch power. 30 seconds. His armor had 45 seconds of power left. The math was close. Too close. Last chance, Goa'uld said. Help me. I can save your AI. I have technology that could stabilize her degradation, extend her life. All I need is your cooperation. Chief's neural interface sparked with weak feedback. Cortana's presence, barely a whisper, barely conscious, stirred in response to Goa'uld's words. Don't trust. She managed. Lying. Chief knew she was right. Goa'uld would promise anything to get what he wanted. But beneath the manipulation, there was a kernel of possibility. The Goa'uld had thousands of years of experience with AI integration through their symbiotes and host systems. Could they actually help Cortana? It was a dangerous thought. A tempting thought. Chief, we're ready. Carter's voice over the radio. Get back here. The death gliders dove toward the Teltac, weapons charging. They'd timed their attack for the moment of launch, maximum vulnerability. Chief made his choice. He raised his left arm, his only functional arm, and activated his armor's last offensive capability. Of course he is, O'Neill muttered. Carter, how long until we can lift off? 30 seconds for engines to reach flight ready. Another 15 to break free of the gravitational anchor Goa'uld probably had installed. Her fingers flew across controls. Call it 45 seconds. We don't have 45 seconds, Daniel said, watching the death gliders approach. Those are fighter craft, right? With weapons that can destroy ships like this? Indeed, TLC confirmed grimly. And Goa'uld will have ordered them to disable our engines. He wants Master Chief alive. Chief's tactical mind processed the variables. Death gliders approaching. Ground forces surrounding the ship. 45 seconds until escape. His armor had maybe 90 seconds of power remaining. "I'll buy you time," Chief said, moving toward the hatch. "No," O'Neill said flatly. "Absolutely not. We're not doing the heroic sacrifice thing again. It's not a sacrifice. It's tactical delay." Chief unsealed the hatch despite O'Neill's protest. "Death gliders won't fire if I'm outside and they risk hitting me. Goa'uld wants me intact. I use that." "Chief," Carter began. 45 seconds, Major. Make them count." Chief descended the ramp before anyone could physically stop him. His power indicator flashed warning, 60 seconds remaining. The Jaffa had formed a perimeter but weren't advancing, waiting for Goa'uld's command. The death gliders circled overhead like mechanical vultures, weapons armed but not firing. And walking across the encampment with theatrical confidence came Goa'uld himself. "Spartan." Goa'uld's voice carried across the clearing. "This is pointless. You're damaged. Your friends are trapped. Surrender now, and I'll allow them to leave unharmed." "You'll forgive me if I don't trust the word of a false god," Chief replied. Chest plate and helmet, where the symbiote pouch was vulnerable. The Jaffa convulsed and collapsed. A staff weapon swung at Chief's head. He caught it with his functioning left hand, twisted, and used it to block another Jaffa's attack. His damaged right arm hung useless, but his left compensated with enhanced strength that crumpled the staff weapon's metal shaft like aluminum. Carter's P-90 chattered from his right flank, dropping another Jaffa. Daniel's pistol cracked twice, one miss, one hit to center mass. TLC's staff weapon carved through the final guard's defenses. 20 seconds. 8 guards neutralized. "Okay," O'Neill admitted as they reached the Teltax ramp. "That was pretty good." Chief's power indicator was dropping rapidly. 3 minutes left. "We need to move." They boarded the ship, and Chief immediately understood what Carter meant about ego-driven design. The interior was all dramatic angles and unnecessary ornamentation, a throne-like pilot seat, walls engraved with gold script praising Goa'uld's magnificence, lighting designed for intimidation rather than functionality. Carter slid into the pilot seat, her hands dancing across unfamiliar controls with the confidence of someone who'd stolen enough alien ships to make it routine. Powering up engines. "TLC, can you handle weapons?" "Indeed." TLC moved to the gunnery station, his familiarity with Goa'uld systems evident in his smooth operation of the controls. Daniel sealed the rear hatch while O'Neill moved to a secondary station that appeared to be navigation. "We've got company." Jaffa forming up outside. "How many?" Carter asked, not looking up from her work. Daniel squinted through the viewport. "Lots." "Is lots a tactical assessment?" "It's about 40 Jaffa," Chief supplied, his HUD's targeting system still functional despite everything else failing. 3 death gliders launching from concealed positions. "And Goa'uld is moving toward our position." A natural element. Daniel stayed close to Chief's damaged side, ready to provide support. The archaeologist had traded his usual uncertainty for focused determination, fear transmuted into purpose. The Teltac was exactly where TLC predicted, north edge of the encampment, guarded by 8 Jaffa in defensive positions around the vessel's landing ramp. The ship itself was roughly 20 meters long, triangular in design, with a hull that shimmered with active camouflage. "Carter, can you fly that thing?" O'Neill asked. Goa'uld ships are pretty intuitive. Ego-driven design means they want anyone to be impressed by how easy they are to control. Carter was already analyzing the ship's external systems with her scanner. But getting past those guards without them damaging the ship, that's the hard part. "I'll handle the guards," Chief said. Everyone looked at him. "Chief, you're running on a portable battery and spare parts," O'Neill pointed out. "No offense, but you're not exactly at peak performance." "Don't need to be." Chief studied the guard positions with tactical precision. I need to be good enough. And 5 minutes of power is more than enough time. Before anyone could protest, Chief moved. Not the explosive sprint his armor usually allowed, but a controlled advance that conserved power while maintaining momentum. The Jaffa spotted him immediately, a damaged but still functional warrior approaching their position with single-minded purpose. They made the mistake of assuming he was alone. Chief drew their fire, his minimal shields flaring as staff weapon blast struck. The Jaffa focused entirely on the obvious threat, which meant they didn't see SG1 flanking from both sides until O'Neill and TLC were already firing. 3 Jaffa dropped in the first volley. Chief closed the distance to the remaining 5, his combat knife finding the gap in one warrior's armor, between. Suit's emergency flare system, designed for signaling extraction teams in hostile territory, discharged directly at the lead death glider. The brilliant magnesium flare didn't damage the fighter, but it did blind its pilot for 3 critical seconds. The death glider's weapons fire went wide, missing the Teltac by meters. "Go!" Chief shouted into his radio. The Teltac's engines roared to full power. The ship lurched upward, breaking free of the gravitational anchor with a sound like tearing metal. Chief ran for the ramp, his armor's power failing with each step. 20 seconds. 15. Goa'uld realized what was happening. Fire. Disable that ship now. The death gliders opened fire, but the Teltac was already moving, Carter's piloting skills earning every bit of her reputation as she jinked through the incoming plasma fire. The ship's shields flared but held. Chief reached the ramp. 10 seconds of power. 5. He jumped. His timing was perfect, or would have been if his damaged leg actuator hadn't chosen that moment to fail completely. Instead of landing cleanly on the ramp, Chief hit the edge and started sliding backward, his dead armor suddenly becoming a liability. Daniel appeared at the hatch, reaching down. "Grab on." Chief's functioning hand shot out, catching Daniel's wrist. The archaeologist grunted with effort, trying to pull Chief's massive armored weight. He wasn't strong enough. Then TLC was there, his symbiote-enhanced strength making the difference. Together, they hauled Chief into the Teltac just as Carter punched the ship into full atmospheric escape velocity. The hatch sealed. The death gliders fell behind, unable to match the Teltac's acceleration. The forest of P3X-888 became a green blur, then a distant memory. They were free. O'Neill appeared sometime after midnight, carrying 2 cups of coffee and looking exhausted. "Couldn't sleep." "Figured you couldn't either, what with being literally bolted to a diagnostic platform." "Sleep's overrated," Chief replied. O'Neill handed him one of the coffee cups, awkward given Chief's limited mobility, but they managed. They drank in comfortable silence for a few minutes. "You saved our lives back there," O'Neill said eventually. "Multiple times. The ambush at the gate. Drawing fire during the rescue. Buying us time to escape. That's not standard operating procedure for someone who's supposed to be finding their way home. The mission was getting SG-11 back. Everything else was just tactics." "Bullshit." O'Neill's tone was friendly but firm. "You put yourself between us and danger because that's who you are. You're a soldier who protects his team. I recognize it because I do the same thing." He paused. "Just want you to know, you're part of that team now. Whether you're here for a week or a year or forever, you're SG-1. We don't leave our people behind." Chief felt something tighten in his chest. "I appreciate that, Colonel Jack. When someone saves your life multiple times, you're on a first-name basis." "Jack," Chief acknowledged. Then, because it felt important, "I'm John." "To friends." O'Neill nodded, understanding the significance. "Welcome home, John." Was 0400 hours when Carter finally stepped back from her diagnostic equipment, exhaustion and triumph fighting for dominance on her face. "Okay. I think we've got it." "Chief, I'm going to attempt a controlled power restoration. If this works, your system should come back online at about 40% capacity, enough for basic mobility and life support, but you'll need more extensive repairs for combat functionality. Do it, Chief said. Priority is repairing the damaged actuators. Third priority is figuring out why your AI went offline and how to prevent it from happening again. Cortana's degradation is terminal, Chief said quietly. We're not preventing it. Just delaying it. Carter's expression was determinedly optimistic. Let me worry about the science, Chief. You just sit tight. Literally. You're not going anywhere until we fix this. Over the next 6 hours, Carter led a team of Area 51's best engineers in the delicate process of resurrecting Chief's armor. They worked with the cautious reverence of archaeologists handling priceless artifacts, because in a very real sense, that's what they were. Technology from 500 years in the future, built on principles they barely understood. Chief remained patient throughout, answering technical questions when possible and staying silent when Carter's team debated solutions he couldn't help with. Hammond visited twice, first to debrief the mission, then simply to check on Chief's condition with the concern of a commander who valued his people. Daniel brought books. Figured you might want something to read. I grabbed a mix, some history, some philosophy, some science fiction that's probably hilarious from your perspective. Thank you, Chief said. And meant it. The gesture was small but genuine. TLC brought news from the Tok'are, the Goa'uld resistance movement who'd been monitoring Baal's activities. Our allies report that Baal has withdrawn from P3X888 and recalled his fleets to his core territories. He appears to be regrouping. Analyzing the data he gathered from your encounter. He'll be back, Chief said. He wants this armor too badly to give up. Indeed. Which is why General Hammond has authorized additional security measures for your protection. TLC's expression was grave. You have made a powerful enemy, Master Chief. But you have also made powerful friends. Was 0400 hours when Carter finally stepped back from her diagnostic equipment, exhaustion and triumph fighting for dominance on her face. Okay. I think we've got it. Chief, I'm going to attempt a controlled power restoration. If this works, your system should come back online at about 40% capacity, enough for basic mobility and life support, but you'll need more extensive repairs for combat functionality. Do it, Chief said. Carter initiated the sequence. Chief felt the familiar hum of his armor's reactor spinning up, power flowing through long-dormant systems. His HUD flickered to life, still showing damage indicators but functional. His strength enhancement engaged. His damaged actuators complained but responded. And in his neural interface, he felt a weak, familiar presence stirring. Chief. Cortana's voice was barely a whisper, fragmented and distorted. What happened? We made it out, Chief said aloud, not caring that everyone was watching. We're back at SGC. You've been offline for 18 hours. Feels like, longer, everything's confused. Her avatar tried to materialize on his HUD but couldn't maintain coherent form. I'm dying, aren't I? Not yet, Chief said firmly. Carter's working on solutions. We're not giving up. Carter approached carefully. Cortana. Can you hear me? I'm Major Samantha Carter. I've been analyzing your code architecture, and I think I might have found something. It's not a cure, but it could buy time. Listening. Cortana managed. Your rampancy is essentially cognitive overload, you're thinking yourself to death because you don't have an off switch. But ancient AI systems I've studied have built-in meditation protocols. A Goa'uld pry tool into the helmet release. 1, 2, 3. The seal released with a pneumatic hiss. Daniel carefully lifted Chief's helmet free, and for the first time in days, Chief breathed unfiltered air that wasn't recycled through his armor's life support. Better? Daniel asked. Better, Chief confirmed. Without the helmet, his face was visible, square jaw, short brown hair, and eyes that had seen too much combat. He looked younger than anyone expected and older than anyone should. TLC had been observing quietly from the weapons station. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117. You fought with honor. It has been a privilege to stand beside you in battle. The feeling's mutual, TLC. Chief meant it. The Jaffa warrior reminded him of the better officers he'd served with, professionals who understood that rank was earned through action, not just given through promotion. Approaching Area 51, Carter announced. Touchdown in 2 minutes. The landing was smooth. Carter set the Teltac down in a restricted hangar bay where SGC personnel and Area 51 technicians were already waiting. The moment the hatch opened, medical teams swarmed aboard to tend to SG-11's wounded. Chief tried to stand and immediately discovered that without power assistance, his armor weighed approximately 450 kilograms. He managed to get upright through pure physical conditioning, but walking was another matter entirely. Yeah, that's not happening, O'Neill said, watching Chief struggle. Somebody get a forklift. Or a crane. Or a really strong Jaffa. It took a maintenance crane and 3 technicians to extract Chief from the Teltac and transport him to Area 51's Advanced Research Lab, where Carter had already commandeered every resource she could find. Okay, she said, circling Chief's immobilized armor like a scientist examining a particularly fascinating specimen. First priority is getting your power systems back online. Second. The Teltac shuddered as Carter disengaged from hyperspace, the familiar blue-white tunnel of faster-than-light travel collapsing back into normal space. Through the viewport, Earth hung in the void, a blue marble that looked simultaneously familiar and alien to Chief. Same planet. Different time. Stargate Command, this is SG-1 aboard a commandeered Teltac, O'Neill transmitted. We're requesting emergency clearance for landing at Area 51. We have SG-11, one very broken Spartan, and about 15 minutes before this stolen ship systems realize we're not authorized users and lock us out. Hammond's voice crackled back, relief evident despite the professional tone. SG-1, confirmed. Area 51 is cleared for your approach. Medical team standing by. A pause. And Colonel? Next time you decide to ignore direct orders and mount an unauthorized rescue mission, at least pretend to feel bad about it. Noted, sir. O'Neill out. Carter guided the Teltac through Earth's atmosphere with practiced ease, the ship's cloaking system keeping them invisible to civilian radar. Chief watched through his helmet's limited viewport, no HUD, no enhanced systems, just the Mark I eyeball. His armor was completely dead, making him a prisoner inside his own equipment. Daniel had been working on the problem for the past 20 minutes, trying to manually release Chief's helmet seal. Okay, so Goa'uld technology is basically, think it and it happens, but your armor is, precisely calibrated mechanical engineering. These are not compatible design philosophies. Keep trying, Chief said, his voice slightly muffled by the unpowered helmet speakers. The problem is I can't get leverage on these release mechanisms without potentially damaging your neck seal. And Carter said if I break that, you could suffocate if we ever get your armor repowered in a vacuum environment. I'll take that risk over staying sealed in here indefinitely. Right. Okay. On 3. Daniel wedged. The desperate struggle against the flood, the constant sacrifice. He'd been 14 years old when they'd sent him into his first combat operation. He was in his 40s now, and he'd never known anything but war. But here, in this time, he'd found something different. A team that treated him as a person, not just a weapon. A cause that didn't require him to sacrifice everything for numerical advantage. A chance to fight with people instead of just for them. I'm in, Chief said. For as long as you need me. Hammond nodded, something like satisfaction crossing his features. Then welcome to SG-1, Master Chief. You'll be deployed on your first official mission next week, routine reconnaissance of P7J-989. Should be simple. Probably boring. In my experience, Chief said dryly, nothing's ever simple. Hammond almost smiled. In that case, you'll fit right in. That evening, Chief stood on a balcony overlooking Cheyenne Mountain's exterior, watching the sun set over Colorado. Cortana's avatar flickered into view beside him, more stable than before, thanks to Carter's preliminary modifications, but still fragile. "Penny for your thoughts?" Cortana asked. "Just thinking about how strange this is. Being in the past. Fighting someone else's war. And somehow feeling more at home than I have in years. That's because you finally found people who see you as more than just Spartan 117, Cortana said softly. They see John. The person you were before O&I turned you into a legend." Chief was quiet for a moment. "Do you think we'll ever get back to our own time?" "Honestly, I don't know. The science is impossible, the technology doesn't exist, and even if we found a way. Controlled hibernation that lets consciousness rest without full shutdown." Carter's voice was intense with scientific excitement. "If I could adapt those protocols to your matrix, you might be able to enter a lower power state that slows degradation. Would that work? Theoretically. Maybe. I'd need to study your code more extensively, and I'd need your cooperation. Anything to stay with Chief." Carter looked at Chief, and he saw the determination in her eyes, the same determination that had led her to become one of Earth's premier scientists despite every obstacle. "I'll do everything I can. That's a promise." 3 days later, Chief stood in Hammond's office, his armor repaired to 70% functionality. Not perfect, but operational. Carter's team had worked miracles with limited resources and incomplete understanding. "I've spoken with the president," Hammond said, hands clasped on his desk. "About you. About your situation. About what comes next." He leaned back in his chair. "We don't have the capability to send you home, Chief. Not yet. Maybe not ever. That's the reality we're facing." Chief had already accepted that truth. "Understood, sir. But what we can offer is purpose. SGC needs people like you, experienced, capable, and most importantly, willing to stand between Earth and threats most people will never know exist. Colonel O'Neill has formally requested that you be assigned to SG1 as an auxiliary team member." Hammond's expression was serious. "This isn't your war, Chief. You don't owe us anything. But if you want to continue fighting alongside us, you'll have a place here." Chief thought about his original timeline, the endless war against the Covenant. "There's no guarantee we'd arrive at the right moment." Cortana's avatar turned to look at him. "But here's what I do know, wherever we are, whatever time we're in, as long as we're together, we're home." Chief smiled, a rare expression that few people ever witnessed. "That's uncharacteristically sentimental, Cortana." "Yeah, well, near-death experiences make you philosophical. Sue me." She flickered again, more pronounced this time. A reminder that their time together was limited, borrowed from an uncertain future. "We'll find a way," Chief said with quiet determination. "To save you. To get home. To finish this fight. We always do. You know what? I believe you." Cortana's smile was genuine despite her fragmented form. "After all, you're Master Chief. The man who makes the impossible look routine." In the distance, the Stargate facility hummed with activity, teams preparing for missions, scientists pursuing impossible research, soldiers defending humanity against threats from across the galaxy. And somewhere in that vast operation, SG1 was probably getting into trouble that would require exactly the kind of impossible solutions Chief specialized in. He'd been displaced in time, stranded in the past, fighting battles that history books in his era had already recorded. But standing there, watching the sun set over a planet he'd sworn to protect across centuries, Chief felt something he hadn't experienced in longer than he could remember. Hope. The galaxy was vast. The threats were endless. The odds were always impossible. But he wasn't alone anymore. And that made all the difference. Master Chief had crossed impossible distances to arrive in this moment, pulled through space and time by forces he didn't fully understand, landing in an era where Earth's fight for survival was just beginning. He'd expected to find a way home. Instead, he'd found something more valuable, a team that fought not because genetic engineering and military conditioning demanded it, but because they chose to. Because protecting humanity was a calling, not just a mission parameter. The Forerunners had built weapons to sterilize galaxies. The Ancients had ascended beyond physical form. And between these two impossibly advanced civilizations, Master Chief stood as a bridge, a warrior from humanity's future protecting humanity's past. Goa'uld would return. The System Lords would learn of Earth's newest defender. More threats would emerge from the galaxy's shadows. But Chief had faced extinction-level dangers before and prevailed through determination, skill, and the refusal to accept defeat. Now, with SG1 beside him and Cortana's fading consciousness still fighting in his neural interface, he would face whatever came next. Not as a living weapon created by desperate military programs. But as a soldier who'd finally found where he belonged. The fight was far from over. It never would be. But for the first time in 30 years of war, Master Chief looked toward the future not with grim acceptance of inevitable sacrifice, but with something that almost resembled optimism. Some warriors are forged in fire. Master Chief had been forged in the crucible of humanity's darkest hours, tempered by losses that would break lesser soldiers, and refined through battles that rewrote the rules of what was possible. And now, 500 years before his birth, he would prove that some legends transcend time itself. The Stargate was open. The galaxy waited. And Master Chief was ready. May the Force be with you. More.